Good evening, campers, it's me, Kieran. Today we're going to talk about the anticipated follow-up novel by Douglas Stuart, a book about a queer boy growing up in Glasgow who has an alcoholic mother and whose story begins at the end. And through reading the novel, we understand where our young protagonist has ended up. Of course, that book is Young. God damn it. Shuggie Bain 2.0 has been on everyone's lips. Everyone has wanted to know about this book. Everyone wants to know everyone's opinion on it. And the question truly has been revolving around, is it better or worse than Shuggie Bain? Personally, I don't really think that is a question that needs to be asked. If you liked Shuggie Bain, you are going to like Young Mungo. If you liked Young Mungo, you're going to like Shuggie Bain. Similarities are stark, and we'll talk about a few of those a bit later, but I don't think anyone should be too surprised. In 2020, when he won the Booker Prize, he said he already had his novel lined up. It was already raring to go. The only way I can describe it is that I think it's a bit like Chuck Palahniuk's dilemma, which was he wrote Invisible Monsters first, but couldn't get it published because of the content. And then, after having a success, was then able to bring it out. Young Mungo is a harder hit in comparison to Shuggie Bain, but Shuggie Bain I don't think anyone could say, despite if you like it or not, really hit the home run. So what is Young Mungo about? Young Mungo begins in media res. We don't know what's happened, we just know how he has got you. And this is the May after the climactic events that happen in the second half. Mungo is moving around in a corral of shifty men, to say the least, and the men know Mungo because of his mum, Momo, who's part of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is a criticism that I had with Shuggie Bain, and this just might be Stuart's writing style. This isn't for me. I think the end of Young Mungo and I think the end of Shuggie Bain close off in a very rounded way. Starting at the end is a bold move for most authors. I just don't think Stuart can do it. But what Stuart can do is evoke the sense of Glasgow, and he does this especially with his use of dialogue. Now I really need, if I see one more person say this online, I'm going to flip. This book is written in a Scottish dialect. It is not written in Scots. Scots is a language. Scottish is a dialect. Now, to break it down, I have a Welsh dialect, but I am not speaking Welsh. It's not Scots, it's not written in Scots. Stop promoting it as a Scots work. It ain't Scots. Educate yourself, people. I can't tell you the amount of people who've said Scots, really frustrates the living hell out of me. It's like when I speak to publishers and when they want to send me things, have to question, is Wales in the UK? I cannot tell you how much my ancestral blood of the active union boils up. And I think if you speak Scots and you hear people say Young Mungo's written in Scots and it's not written in Scots, I can't imagine the fury of it. Not Scots. And another thing I would like to question is the choice of cover. Now, it's not for the reasons you are thinking. Actually, I quite love how audacious, how blatant this cover is. Two men in a sloppy embrace in a nightclub. We've all been there. It's a grand time. Young Mungo, however, is 13. Are we sure? Especially as one of the many cogs that Stuart is trying to maneuver within this novel is that what happens when Mungo reaches 16? How is his relationship between the Fenian James going to prosper? But Young Mungo can be seen as a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, one of the greatest love stories ever written in the English language. According to some, definitely not me. Don't get me started on Shakespeare. I did my entire university degree just on BBC Bite Size, just getting the most basic quotes possible. I don't like Shakespeare. I just don't like him. Let's reel myself back in. The point I'm trying to make is that I've seen Romeo and Juliet posters with two adults snogging galore, and I don't really bat an eyelid at it. And maybe that's the commentary there. And I have to say, I'm not batting an eyelid at this. I love it. I love this cover. I equally have adored how many people have been absolutely riled by it. Why are you getting wild of two? Oh, honestly, get a grip. But I wanted to emphasise that, and I think it's an interesting look into how covers really can change a perception of what we expect from a book. So what can we expect from Young Mungo? Well, if you take the cover off, it's just Shuggie Bain. Mungo, just like Shuggie Bain, implements Stuart's sprawling narrative tactics. There's a constant shift within the narrative, and Stuart definitely has something for readers to chew on. There's never a dull moment. This is a fast-paced book in comparison to Shuggie Bain. More so within Young Mungo, the shifts change quickly. There are handbrake turns in the once known Stab City that just took me a little bit too far. One of the most graphic and violent is when Young Mungo witnesses a man beat his wife, and we move from the perspective of Mungo into the wife beater. I just don't think Stuart can juggle all those pieces. There are a lot of topics and there are a lot of subjects that don't really get any time of day, as Stuart is too busy propelling the story than just letting us wade a little. I wanted to learn more about the family dynamic. I wanted to learn more about the rival football clubs. I wanted to learn more about the Protestant and Catholic divide within Glasgow. But instead, I got a soliloquy about a bloody slot machine, and we spent so much time with Mungo feeding the doves. It could have been an interval of Young Mungo going, feeding the birds, tuppence a bag, tuppence, tuppence, tuppence a bag. And at that point, Fenny and James would have run out and gone, aye, that's legal tender, mate. My auntie, uncle and cousins are all Glaswegian, and anytime they put like money in birthday cards and send it to us, there's always banter back and forth, being like, are you sure this just isn't like Monopoly money? But when I've gone to pay with like a Scottish tenner, and I've been in retail, so I've been on the receiving end, there's always this nervous anticipation between between the person paying and the cashier of, is this real? But if you've ever been in that predicament, don't worry. Within the local vicinity, there will always be a Scotsman nearby. And he'll hoist up his kilt and he'll bring out his skin do going, you done it, hey, that's legal tender, mate. You know what? No, while we're here, I get a comparison a lot that I look like Count Dankler. Let me try sounding like him. You done it, say that's legal tender, mate. No. No, we're just guys with beards and we wear hats. That's the only comparison between me and Count Dankula. I don't even look like him. Oh, we've gone off on a tangent here, but I think this is a good place to end. And in the style of Stuart, let's just go back to what I said at the beginning. If you liked this, you'll like this. If you liked this, you'll like this. It's a 6 out of 10. It hasn't wavered. I just think, like, is this his wheelhouse? I was expecting something a little bit different, but is he a bit of a one-trick pony? Like, is the third novel going to be the same? Because I don't want to state my legal tender on that. Right, I'm just offending the Scottish people. I'm really sorry, mate.